This is the Starlight Express Alumni Podcast.
Hi, my name is Dolan Jose, and I started at Starlight in 1994, and I left Starlight in 2004. And I did a whole bunch of stuff. I started off as, actually, to be really exact, I started off as first cast Hashimoto cover flat top. And then during the rehearsal period, they moved me up to first cast flat top. First cast Krupp cover flat top. And then after that year, I became dance captain, and I was a swing. And eventually I covered almost everything. I covered engines, components, flat top, and I also covered Rusty, Electra, and Caboose. And I had a special cover. I covered Wrench officially.
Yeah, I love it.
And I went on stage as Rocky 2.
There you go. I love it. No, we worked together, so that was fun.
Yes, we did. Yes.
That was a lot of fun. And now, where were you? You did it in Germany. I know you did it in Germany because we worked there together. Where else did you do it? Anywhere else?
I've only done it in Germany. Eventually, so 2 years ago, I actually directed and choreographed it in Austria.
Fabulous. How did that go?
Fabulous. I didn't have the luxury of 6 weeks training. I had 2 weeks of intensive skate training, and then I went for it. And I did a lot of changes, which is actually quite funny because the new version has a lot of changes that I did before. Anyway, because what the thing is, I had singers and actors, and I didn't have dancers, so I really worked on their strengths, acting and singing, and
you told the story.
Yes, and it was really I was really intense in the story, and it really worked out well. That it was still exciting. It was still exciting, and the people in Austria were even asking, are these the people from Bochum? So that was the big.
That was a great compliment.
Yes, that was the best compliment.
That's awesome. Well, here's the first question I wanted to ask. I'm asking everyone this question. What can you share with everyone how you found out about Starlight to do the audition? How was the audition process for you? And then share a little bit of the rehearsal process for you.
Well, I was very young. I was 21 years old, and I was in Toronto at the time, and I was doing Miss Saigon. I was in the original cast of Miss Saigon in Toronto. And funnily enough, in 1990, I was in London, and I went to go see Miss Saigon in London. And I was like, I didn't even have any training or whatever. And I said, no, I want to be in the show. So I ran to the backstage, and I walked into the backstage door, and they didn't stop me. I guess because I was Asian, but they didn't stop me. And I came across the guy who played Chris. Oh God, the original Chris. Mm. And then I asked him, I was like, okay, I wanna join. How do I audition? And he went, oh, we just had our auditions. And he said, but wait a second. And he got me this this paper, and he said, well, this audition is happening in London on Monday. And I looked at it, and I read it, and it said Starlight Express. And I was like, and I asked him, Simon Bowman was his name, Simon Bowman. And I asked him, I was like, what is that? It's like a music from Andrew Lloyd Webber, and it's on roller skates. And I just remember went, oh no, I think I'll pass on that one. And then I got a scholarship in LA to Edge Performing Arts Center. And then that's when I started my training. There I met two Germans, Martina Wolp and Katja Pritzel. And they invited me to their place, and you know, of course, Martina was on scholarship with me as well. And then I told her the story about Starlight and Miss Saigon. She's like, "Oh, you know that there's Starlight in Germany?" And I went, "Oh, really?" And she put a cassette tape and she was playing the cassette tape, and it was like, I just remember hearing, and I went, oh my God, they're singing in German. And he was like, yeah, and she was like, and they're not German. The people who are singing German. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Wasn't really interested because, you know, my mind was set on Miss Saigon.
Right.
And yeah, after my scholarship, I eventually got Miss Saigon. And as I was doing Miss Saigon, there was an audition call for Cats in Hamburg, in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, Jimmy Walski.
Yes, Jimmy
Walski was doing the auditions. And back then, even though you put down Cats, you had to do the choreography for Starlight Express as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Very interesting.
But I was focused on Cats, you know, because I was in Saigon and I was the center acrobat.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the very first time and last time I did acrobatics in the show. And I said, no, I don't want to do acrobatics. So I did this audition, and they wanted me to do acrobatics. So Jimmy was like, it was funny. He was like, does anybody do any tumbling and stuff like that? I turned around and walked to the back. And I remember Jimmy's like, Dolan, Joe's. I'm like, yes, Dolan Jose. And he said, oh, sweetheart, can you show us some tumbling? And I went, oh, I don't tumble. And he said, well, you did quite well when we saw the show last night.
Scandal.
And I went, any more? So I didn't tumble. And then they had me do squats and stuff like that. I know why, you know, to see the length of the Achilles and to see if I'd be able to skate and the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then I finished the audition and I got an offer. I got an offer for Cats.
Nice.
First Cats, Tumble Brutus, cover Skimble Shanks and Mistopheles. And I was like, tumbling.
Oh my gosh, they called you. They called me on it. They're like, okay, we saw him in the show. We're gonna hire him for the tumble. I said no. No. And then all of a sudden, okay, we would like to offer you Starlight Express. And I went, okay, I don't know the musical. I don't know. and the whole thing. And I went, and I said yes, because it was an opportunity to go to Germany. So a country I never thought I would actually choose to go to. Right.
And I was young and I thought, no, this is an experience. You go to another country, you're working there, you're earning money, and you experience firsthand the culture, you know. And I went, and unfortunately, because I was on contract, I was a month later than everybody else. So I arrived a month later. And I arrived and I remember Anya picked me up from the airport.
Oh yes, Anya.
Yeah, she picked me up from the airport, and we went directly to the theater. And I just remember looking at everybody, thinking that they were giants, because of course they were on skates and stuff. And like, oh my God, what's going on here? And then I started, and it was Rachel McAvoy and I, because we started later, so we were the ones on the side all the time. And you know, and Freddie would Freddie Mortini would
yes.
would take us aside and then and work with us in the hall or in the stuff, and then I wasn't really developed enough as a skater, and we started rehearsals with choreography. I was dying.
Wow.
It was hard. It was and I also had the pressure of first cast.
Right.
And then I learned my Hashimoto, and then they switched me to Krupp. And then I had to learn the components choreography.
Yeah.
So the people who know Starlight today don't know the real choreography for the components, because it was really an elite group of people that can do this choreography well and that can stand the pain.
Right. Yes.
You know? And I learned it with a huge thanks to Andrea Leslie. Andrea Leslie, I love her to death, but I hated her during rehearsal. I was just petrified of her. I was scared, and the whole thing. I remember at one point, when I found out what Krupp did when he first came on stage, he did all those turns, and that was the thing I couldn't do.
Wow.
And I was like, And I just remember, and I had those hard leather boots.
Yes.
And it wasn't working out for me. I was mostly on my ass the whole time. And I went into the office. It was Angelica Krupp.
Yes, Angelica.
And I asked if I could leave.
I'm out of here.
I actually called Miss Saigon in Toronto and asked if I can come back. And they said, if you wanted to come back, we'll welcome you with open arms. And that's when I went to Angela, and I said, okay, we have a probation. They can cancel and we can cancel. And I thought, okay, no, I said, you know what? This show's not for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm one of those people that when I learn something, I learn it, do it, and perform it. And that's the thing with Starlight. Nobody could do that. Nobody could learn. Maybe Michael Rand, but he's the exception. But you learn. It just takes so. It's like you don't know how to dance.
Yeah.
You know, and it really eats on your psyche and everything. And back then, it was a lot of pressure. You know, especially you're going to open this first cast, and I was like, oh my God. And they convinced me. It's a funny story because Angela went to Debbie and Glenn.
Glenn.
Meet.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Debbie and Glenn, and asked Debbie and Glenn. So I found out this later. I found out that when I was dance captain assisting Debbie. I found out this later, that they went to Glenn and Debbie and asked, is it possible if Dolan can learn the choreography off skates? So of course Debbie's like, is he mad already? You know, the whole thing. And Glenn was like, no, you can't do that, and the whole thing and stuff, because I had said I'd wanted to leave and stuff. Then Michael Fraley had the idea, why don't we give him the suede boots? The boots that the girls that the women wore, you know. Because I didn't have that 1 month skate training before. Right. Take it in. I was
ripped apart.
I was learning wide smile with brand new boots that weren't broken in.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So you can imagine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I got a pair of suede boots that were used.
Right. All right.
And they said, well, Michael said that this won't hurt as much, and the whole thing and that. And then I said, okay, look, I'll do it, because I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter.
Right.
At this point, I was like, now you know what? Maybe it's really not for me. It's not that I was quitting, but maybe it wasn't for me. It wasn't working or whatever.
Right.
Boots really helped. It wasn't that much. It was like the pain level reduced 60%. Wow. Yeah. And I was able to think, and I was able to put it into my body and the whole thing, because other than that, with the other boots, I was just thinking about the pain. Just knives. Yes. In the toes. You know how that is.
Oh gosh, I know. Oh my goodness.
You know. And then I did it. I got I remember the very first time I actually nailed my entrance was at my opening night in front of the audience. And it was the funniest thing, because every run through that we did, we were like da, 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 boom boom da 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 doom doom. And then I would get up, struggle, and continue. Right to the last dress rehearsal, it was like that. And you can imagine I was shitting myself. Yeah. You know, I was like, that was my biggest thing. And then I went up, did my thing, and I went da 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 boom pa pa.
Beautiful.
And the funniest thing is, the rest of the people on stage broke out a character just a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, this show is I mean, let me know. For me, I've done, I did Hershey Park. I've done West Side Stories. I've done Joseph Mason Technicolor Dreamcoat, Evita, all these shows.
Yeah.
Starlight is and I've done classical ballet. I came out of the classical ballet world. And so, but this show took me places physiologically as a performing artist that no other show took me to. And incredible.
And I think this is why, for example, this is why we are still in contact after how many years?
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
That's why the Starlight family is such a close-knit family.
Right.
You can't shake the Starlight family off because it's ingrained in you. And I think it's because of the bubble of being in Germany as well.
Sure.
They were your family, they were your confidants, they were your enemies, they were your lovers, they were your haters, they were everything all at once.
Right.
But the biggest thing is everybody had the same purpose on stage, to be fierce.
Yeah.
You know, and we had fun trying to be fierce. And we also had a pride because me at 47 right now, I couldn't imagine doing the show right now. When I directed it and choreographed it 2 years ago, I was back on my skates, and I was like, it was just like being on a bike. I was able to do everything and the whole thing, and I just kept on thinking, how the heck did I do it?
Wow. I'll tell you, it's that. When I designed the logo for the website, says Starlight Alumni, and under it has this this saying, what it was, about being legendary. And I looked up the word legends, and I have a playlist that I listen to when I go to the gym, and it's all the songs that the theme is being a legend, and so. You have to go through heartache, it's blood, sweat, tears,
literally,
and literally, and then surviving all that, and then we're now that place, because right now, of course, as you know, we have people who are not even born yet doing the show. We are legends to them because we were the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
The brokenness that we went through, I mean, some serious injuries.
Yes.
That we sustained as Starlight alumni. And so it's powerful. And I think that's why this is so important, just to put us out there, just to share like we're doing right now for the generations, because now we're in the history books because of Andrew Lloyd Webber and this particular musical, and Germany. Musicals in Germany, where they are now, is because really of Starlight.
It's because of Starlight, Cats, and Phantom.
Right, and
it started the musical boom here.
Yeah, exactly. So, and all of us are, a part of that history. Now, this is probably going to be tough for you right now. The next question is I know you're going to struggle with it, but because everyone does. And actually, yesterday I did an interview, and I won't say their name, but they were in tears because of their answer, because it's just they just really thought about it. So here's the question, and you got to add the first thing that comes to mind. You have to answer it. Don't think too much about it. Just right away. First thing, your greatest memory. Your greatest memory. Ready, go.
I see it as a good thing now. I'll say I could cry, but I could see it as a good thing now. My greatest memory was in my first year as first cast Krupp. I was constantly in the office because they were our talks. They were doing contract talks and what we want to do and stuff and the whole thing. And it done. Every show, Stephen Russell, every show He watched me every show and gave me notes every show. 8 shows a week. That was the time when we didn't even have a cover show a week.
Right.
8 shows a week.
Mm-hmm.
He watched me and he gave me notes every time. And the good thing was it was always for something different.
Mm-hmm.
It pissed me off, because I'm like, I wanted to do a show that was perfect. I was 21,
Wow.
21. And I was like, I want, and then I see him coming to me and I'm like, and then Debbie would once in a while give me notes, but I hardly spoke to her and stuff. And then I had an incident during rehearsals where those awful Sunday ballet room run-throughs.
Yeah.
In the heat.
Mm.
And it was Glenn, Stephen, Andrea, and Debbie, and they were staging the bows. And I was stood there. Debbie put me in that place. Glenn came by and dragged me into another place. And then Stephen came by and dragged me to another place. Debbie turned around, irritated, put me back to that place. And then Glenn took me to another place. And then Debbie turned around and then she turned around and she said, "For God's sake, will you stand in your place?" And I was like, and I said, "Okay, you put me in this place, Stephen put me in this place, and Glenn put me in that place. Please tell me where I'm going to stand." I remember she had that Act 2 Bible.
Yes.
"Patch, if you think you could run this rehearsal better than me, then do it." And I was like,
God.
And then I went, "Where do you want me to stand?" And then Glenn was like, stand here, it's okay, stand here. So that was that story, right? So going back to what I was explaining to you,
yeah,
I really wanted to cover Jewel. Because I knew, because they had already offered me swing,
mm-hmm.
and then cover Caboose and flat top, and I wanted to add wrench, Volta, and Jewel.
Wow.
I wanted to, because I could do the choreography and I fit in the costumes back then. And and I just remember I kept on asking, and Angela was like, "Dolan, I know you really want to. If it happens, we will tell you. But don't have your hopes up."
Mm-hmm.
So they called me to the office, and Angela and Susanna Maywald, names. And Susanna Maywald, they had a big, huge grin on their face, and they were like, "Have a seat." I'm like, "Am I in trouble?" And like, no. We have something special to offer you. And I went, "I get to cover girl components." And they went, "No."
Funny.
Dance captain.
Wow.
And I went, "Are you sure? Did you ask Debbie?" I'm like, "Did you ask Debbie?" And she was like, "Of course." Debbie and Glenn were the ones who chose me. And I was the youngest boy in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel Walker was the youngest girl in the cast. So we were the youngest boy and girl in the whole cast. Mm-hmm. And back then we had a huge cast, because we had like 7 swings, mm-hmm. Girls, and 14 swings at the same time. And then I went up to Debbie and I knocked on the door and she's like, "Come in." And I'm like, "Hi, Debbie." And she had a huge smile on her face. And then that's when she gave me that, she gave me the name Doughboy.
Doughboy.
And I opened the door and she's like, "Oh, Doughboy, come on in." And I thought, "Oh, I don't know how to deal with this. I've never had her talk so nicely to me."
That's funny.
and that was that. And it was a huge honor because, you know, as you know, I had been running 3 or 4 years already, or 3 years already, and there were people that had their mind set on having this position. I had my mindset to cover the girl components.
Right.
You know? And Debbie said, you know, yes, I wanted you to do it. I've been watching you for the longest time, and especially how fast you learned Krupp and you opened and this, and you take your notes. And I just looked at her and I went, I had the feeling I didn't take my notes because I got noted 8 shows a week. I got noted, and then I remember her saying, "Now, that's the oh God, where's my English? Nachteil. That's the disadvantage of being good."
Yeah. Wow.
You know what, and I totally understand that because I learned so much from Debbie. I do that. I do the same.
Yeah.
When I see someone that's good, I push them.
Yeah.
You know, and it was wonderful memory. At the same time, the most horrible memory. I had to struggle for the next 2-3 years with the cast that was there, that didn't want to hear from me, that didn't want to take notes from me, that they didn't, you know, they're like, who's this little kid, you know, and I spent many, so during the changeover for the next 2 years, I spent many you know, breaks up in the office crying. And then sometimes crying, and then Debbie would be there, just like, don't you dare show them that you've been crying. You know?
Yeah.
And then what I did was, and what I figured out was, I came in during the day and I asked if I can try everybody's costume on. And I rehearsed all the choreography in everybody's costumes. And I did it to the point of, you know, there's no way anybody can give me any excuses of, yeah, but the costume, this, and
gotcha.
You know, you work with me.
Yeah, that's true. You did everything. It was pretty awesome. Wow. So,
you know,
you said, I love what you said, and this is going to segue into the next question.
Yeah.
You said that the quote. I'm going to quote Debbie on that. Say that again. I want to get that again. What did she say to you after she noticed that you were in tears, and she said, "Don't do that." And then when you told her that, well, I got all these notes, 8 shows a week.
Yeah,
all these notes.
Because I said,
and she said to you.
She said to me, that's the disadvantage of being good.
Now, how is that's a lesson for life?
Yeah.
And so next question is this: what's the greatest lesson that comes to mind right now that you can draw from your experience at Starlight that continues with you to this day?
Well, the biggest lesson I've learned was to is because I still use it, and I've also realized it's a gift. That the biggest lesson is that a group of people is not a group of people. A group of people is many individuals, and each individual has a certain way of working. Each individual has a certain way of accepting critique. Each individual has a different way of accepting praise. Sometimes praise and critique falls on the same level, in a negative sense.
Right.
And I really learned how to first respect everybody,
Mhm.
And that's how I got respect back.
Yeah.
And I honed this this gift in Starlight Express. I was able to get the best out of each individual
Mhm.
in different ways.
Right.
And I know I was tough. Till this day, 2019, I'm still hearing from people, oh my God, that Dolan with that notebook and this and that and that. And at the 30th anniversary, I had that as well. And
Right.
then I had people like in their drunken state coming to me and hugging me and said, Dolan, I hated you so much, but at the same time, I loved you because I knew that I was fierce on stage because of you.
Yeah. I know working with you. I remember when I first met you. I had already done the show. I think this U.S. tour and German
Yes.
production, and always the respect that I have for you was the fact that because you were able to do it all, and you the choreography, and you would hit it so confidently with this. You just did it, and I was like respect. I said respect. This guy, you, you would jam your toes in the ground, especially when we do that, like
The runs.
and oh my gosh, and I was saying, man, this guy has, and I says respect because I knew the pain and everything like that, and you would just do it. You would someone who wasn't doing the choreography, you would just get up, show them, and it was like almost nothing when you would do it. And I was like, man, that's respect. But it was awesome, man. You were great. I don't know. I think we always got along. I always loved you.
Always. I remember when you came in,
Yeah.
I knew you were coming in.
Mhm.
And because when I came in 94, you and Renee were leaving in 93.
Mhm.
And so I was like, oh my God, he's coming back. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. I better be exact. I better, so
That's funny.
for me, casts that were returning
Right.
that didn't know me in my position,
Mhm.
I was so nervous. And all I thought was, okay, you know what, Dolan? Be exact.
Yeah.
And if you want them to do something, you need to show them exactly how you want them to do it.
Man, respect. I'm telling you, I just respected you. You were just hardcore, and I loved that. I loved it. And so, did we get a chance to perform together?
Yes, we did.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, we did.
That's awesome.
Wait, you were also Krupp.
No, I never played component.
Wait. Who was?
And I'm happy.
No, I mixed you up with Tony. Tony switched to Krupp, but
Yeah.
we played together. We definitely played together because when you came in,
Right.
I was still in the show.
Yeah. I think you did like Rocky 3. I believe you did a Rocky 3.
Yes.
So, hey, man, I appreciate you spending this time with me, but I definitely want to ask you because there's stuff that you're doing now. We did Starlight Express, but
Yeah.
and we're part of that legacy. But there's other things that we're doing, we've done, and we're going to do that's beyond Starlight Express. So I know you're doing stuff now. So if you don't mind, share with people what you're doing now, what some of the things that are exciting, and what are you looking forward to in the future, and if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you? If they wanted to connect with you.
Well, it's funny because it relates to Starlight Express. What I'm doing now relates to Starlight Express. Like I said, I was 21, green behind the ears, and doing the show in this foreign country and the whole thing. And I had so many people take me under their wings. Look, I'm getting emotional. And I'm so grateful because they taught me so many things. And sometimes it was like, oh my God, how can I pay you back? Or what can I do? And like this. And they were really like, no, be fierce. Be fierce. And then one of these days you're gonna wanna give back. You're way too young to start doing that, but one of these days you're gonna and if you have the feeling to do so, then do it. I I was at Starlight for 10 years.
Wow.
I had done about a little over 1,500 shows.
Wow.
And I left Starlight,
even
though that they were offering me the world to stay and the whole thing. I decided, because I told myself at one point, I'm not going to leave until I play Rusty. And so in 1999, I was on stage for Rusty for the first time, and then I ended up going being on all the time for Rusty, and I'm the very first Asian to play the role worldwide. So I'm like, okay, I've made my mark. I need to go.
Wow.
And I left. I left Starlight. Even though Stella at the time were trying to pull me back in for other shows and stuff, I said no. I'm gone, and then I did my film and television, and because of Starlight and because of the reputation I had at Starlight, people knew my name, and people knew how I worked, and people knew what I could do without having to audition, kind of thing.
Right.
I had really wonderful breaks in television. I choreographed some movies and stuff because of Starlight.
Wow.
And so eventually I went back to musicals. I did another about 4.5 years in theater, and I said, okay, no. 8 shows a week doesn't work. You know, and then I started doing the directing thing and directing and choreographing and stuff. And I started working with children.
Wow.
And, I had a chance to work with 8 to 11-year-olds, and I'd never worked with children before, and also this was in Bochum, so they figured I'd be the perfect person to work with these children because I used to be at Starlight, and you know, and then the whole thing. And they were very difficult children. They were bullies in the school and the whole thing. And I wrote a piece that showed that a piece about anti-bullying and stuff like that. You know, and eventually we got nominated for a Jugendkulturpreis for Nordrhein-Westfalen and stuff. And then I figured, oh, I like working with children. And then I did my next one, and then the biggest one I did was in Leipzig. I worked with 80 students.
Wow.
Yeah, with 80 students, and I taught them a whole musical. I worked with them for a year, and to this day, that was in 2013. And these were kids that were, you know, with a migrant background. It was a very rough school, you know, like girls with, they would like cut themselves.
Cutting,
And earrings all the way down here with the, you know, the whole thing. And in the end, they looked like, it's awful to say normal, but what's normal? They looked like children and not like punks and the whole thing.
Wow.
You know, and a lot of them are in theater, either at, in the costume department, in the technical department. And I still stay in contact with them. And recently, last year, I worked with. I did the same type of project with 110 disabled children.
Wow.
And that was all so autistic, Down syndrome, physically disabled, and the whole thing. And I wrote a musical for them, and it was like puppetry, puppetry theater and dance theater. And they built their puppets themselves. It was with UV lights, so they were wearing black, and it was a whole puppet thing, and
very cool
stuff like that.
Very cool.
And that was such a highlight for me because I didn't know what I could do, but I was somehow deep inside. I said, "No, well, they'll be fabulous."
Very nice.
And it to a point where one student, his name was Timmy, autistic, blind, and he can't speak. And now he sings. He's still blind.
Right.
You know, he's still blind. He's still autistic. He still can't speak, but he sings.
But he sings. Wow.
And now they have therapists there that are trying to figure out a method using the singing as a communication thing.
Great.
Wow. And these children, there was not a dry eye throughout the whole shows. Everybody was just shocked, and I was a mess the whole time, just seeing these kids. Yeah. And you know, and now I'm working with another group of high school kids. And I kind of found my thing. I've for example, the musical that I wrote for these kids, I basically did brainstorming, and I said, okay, I know I want to start this musical in the year 2119, in 100, 100 years from now. So, give me some ideas. And we did brainstorming, and everything in this musical were the ideas of the kids, and I just put it all together in one musical, and went through, and they covered topics like this one kid. So we're talking 13, 14, 15-year-olds, right? For example, they had ideas like, in 100 years, cancer and HIV doesn't exist anymore. We did, pictures. They showed Korea as Korea.
Right, yes. Not split.
Not split. They had idea of a couple can decide who carries the baby. So it's not just the woman.
Right. Wow.
Things like in 2119, we have to wear protective clothing, protective eyewear, and a breathing unit, because we've destroyed our planet so bad that we need this. Right. And then as we're going back, I can say one scene, because we do the 80s. They chose Dirty Dancing, so I took a clip, because it's a multimedia show. I took a clip of Jennifer Grey holding this watermelon, and then I wrote in the story that the kids were looking at this video and going, "Oh my God, what is that?" And the computer saying, "This is a watermelon. The watermelon existed till the end of the 2030s. Because of climate change, many fruits and vegetables ended up going extinct. The watermelon fell into the category of non-essential foods, because there's only so many things that you can grow in an indoor farm."
Right. Wow.
So they gave all this stuff, and the teachers, they protested a little bit, and they're like, "Oh my God," because where I live is called Bad Zaro, and it's a wellness place, with a huge lake, beautiful huge lake. It's green and everything. In 2119, it's not called Bad Zaro. It's called Zaro Wüste, so Zaro Desert.
Wow.
The lake gets dried out, and it's and so the teachers tried to protest and say, "No, if we're going to do this, it seems so dark and everything." I'm like, "Yeah, please read it to the end."
Yes.
And I said, I don't want to change it, because these are the topics these kids want.
Right. Yeah.
Want to talk about.
Oh yeah.
They're not allowed to take part in the Friday demos. I don't know if you have the Friday demos there as well for the environment.
Yeah, no.
So they're not allowed to take part, and this is their way of showing their demonstration and showing, and they specifically said, We want the adults to see that if they continue the way they're going, our world is going to look like that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's deep.
You know, and so this is the projects that I'm doing. And
well, I have a great appreciation for kids because I've been working with kids for 20 years now.
yes, I know this.
And Renee does too. So that's how I work with kids, and I work with kids that are on the spectrum, autistic. So I've had to re-educate myself so that I can meet the needs. And of course, I work with the parents, and so I have a great appreciation for the work that you're doing. And that's awesome. It's most rewarding because it's also pouring into the future.
Yes.
And that's why Renee, we both love doing it. That's our way, like you said, giving back, you know, and just giving.
And it's so important. It's so important.
It is. It's so important. And I appreciate you doing that. It's awesome. It's great. Thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Of course.
Thank you so much. And many of you, I'm getting so many people responding back to me saying, yes, yes, yes. And I'm so excited about it. And who knows where this is going to go. I have all weekend going into next week. And my goal is to get at least 100 interviews.
Wow.
So that's my starting goal. And so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this episode of Starlight Express Alumni Podcast. Next week, I will get together with another alumni. Be sure to subscribe. You can subscribe right here on the website at starlightexpress.club. We are definitely on the iTunes and Stitcher, and we're looking to get on the other platforms, so make sure you check there, subscribe there, and stay connected. If you are Starlight alumni, please be sure to reach out to me if you would like to be on the podcast. Would love to hear your stories and share your story with the Starlight Express fans and other alumni. Look forward to sharing with you next week. Everyone, have a great day.